Splash Radio 94.3. Reggae, dancehall, soca, hip hop and R&B, African, disco, oldies but goodies.
Hi, this is Jenkins.
You wanna answer that, don't you? I bet it's killing you, seeing that soft gloom just inches away. In case someone wants to tell you something, or maybe ask you something. Ah, come on, answer it already. Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner thoughts. Don't text and drive. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Council and your friends here at Splash Radio.
Oh, I don't know. I just saw that.
Yeah, something like that. Obviously.
Well, I don't know, so Mr. G represent 94.3 FM Splash Radio. We just splash out the music on them.
I never know how to dress in this damn weather anymore.
What happened?
Initialize sequence now.
We're now in the approach phase. Everything looking good.
Your attention, please. This is no ordinary show. Covering news and information for Essex County, New Jersey, and beyond. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show. Broadcasting from 94.3 Splash Radio. Now, here's your host, giving it to you like only he can. It's Eric Dawson.
Hey, this is Eric Dawson, and this is the Eric Dawson Radio Show, 94.3 FM. Call in number 973-457-8000. Again, it's 973-457-8000. If you're listening through your mobile devices, 213-493-0287. And as always, we're streaming live from 10 to 12. Ian, what's up, man?
Good morning, everybody.
Wrap Up Fridays, man.
Yes, man.
We're going to get a call from Kevin Jenkins. He's not coming in. He's got a cold, but he's going to call in at about 10:20, and we'll, we'll have a robust discussion about a lot of issues, some of the things that we talked about during the course of the week, and some new things. Yesterday was a heated conversation. But you know what's really funny?
I don't know if it was heated, but it was a little warm.
It was a little warm, man. But what's really funny, I'm watching you and people are watching me, and I always get folks who call me after the show, and they're like, man, you guys are frantic in the studio before it goes. And I said, if we didn't do Facebook Live, they'd have no clue. You know what I mean? Like, literally, things would just look smooth.
Because we sound so cool, calm, and collected. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I think we do. I think that we do. So I'm excited to be here today, as always.
Memorial Day weekend.
It is Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
I am so busy, man, that I completely forgot about it. I forgot that it was Memorial Day weekend.
I hear you, my man. I'm with you on that one. The only reason why I remember, I have to remember, because two of my daughters, Ayana Burrowes and Anaya, they have birthdays coming up on the 29th and the 30th.
Really?
Yeah.
1 day apart?
1 day apart. And
wait a minute, are they the same age, or they're different ages and they were born 1 day apart?
They are 9 years apart.
Wow.
Yeah. I planned that.
Dude, man, I mean, you did a good job.
Good aim.
Good. See, normally that's me. But
Target
that's
practice,
you today,
y'all.
huh?
It's me today.
It's you today. See, I told you I'd rub off on you, man.
Hey, man,
What's up?
we've been doing this together for a while. I mean, and I'm happy that you thought of me enough to invite me on, on the air with you. I'm going to ask you to trust me with this lead today.
Uh-oh.
Come on, that's not. That didn't have such a vote of confidence, man. I mean,
All right, no, let's start it again. Say it again.
You started again?
Yeah,
All right, we've been together a while,
that's right.
and I'm so happy that you thought of me enough to invite me on to do this show with you.
And I'm having a great time.
I'm having a great time as well. I would like you to trust me. We didn't really talk about what we were going to go through today, but I'd like you for you to trust me in taking off the lead on this.
I'm going to trust you. Go ahead. Is that better? I'm going to trust you.
That's better.
I trust them. I do.
I felt it. Did y'all feel it? I felt it out there when he said that. He kind of, okay.
No, I trust you. What's up?
All right. Well, I'm gonna say it this way, and this might spark a little fire.
Okay.
I had a dream.
Uh-oh. Little Martin Luther King.
A little bit of Malcolm.
Okay.
A lot of other. I had a dream last night that all of these folk that have gotten away with shooting down all of our unarmed and innocent people out here.
Mm-hmm.
That somehow justice was served. I had a dream that.
You mean in like the afterlife it was served?
No, in the now life, as in for some of them, they ended up being found guilty, received street justice,
Mm-hmm.
and in that dream, I remember for those who received street justice and some of those people accused of imposing that street justice upon them folks. I remember being like, I don't know, creating a GoFundMe account and being one of the people to kind of donate to that, to their defense. Much like, and to the opposite, I guess, that people saw the benefit of purchasing and paying some astronomical number. What was it? 100,000, 200,000, some ridiculous number for the gun that was used to kill Trayvon Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And I slept like a baby with that dream. And then I woke up to a nightmare, the reality of none of those things taking place, and the reality of more such events like this had taken place. It was a video, I don't know if you saw it, I tagged you. 76-year-old woman attacked by an officer. She was sitting was it the bus or train, some section?
Mm-hmm.
There may have been a reserved seat, and where she always sat, from my understanding. And the officer deemed it necessary to physically manhandle her, and she had a cane and all that. I did tag you on that today.
Right.
The young man, I think his last name was Collins, I'll look it up, who was supposed to have graduated recently,
Mm-hmm.
victim. The other gentleman, the police officer, they chose not to indict her, or rather follow through. The one who shot and killed the. There's so many. The sad part about it, there's so many names that to remember that you can't remember them all.
Right. But where I'm going to go with this, right?
Yeah, I know. But let me just. The gentleman who. I can just describe the incident. I don't recall his name, so please forgive me, because again, there are
we going to list
many.
them all? I mean,
no,
right.
we can't. We can't. We'll be here. We'll be here
Right.
the entire show.
Right.
But the gentleman that had his hands up by his truck. His truck had broken down.
Mm-hmm.
He had his hands up.
Mhm.
His window was closed.
Right.
Female police officers shot him,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest of the officers, they all continued to shoot him. And their first report was he was trying to reach into the car.
Right. But
And this is very recent that she was
Ian, but listen. So here's where I am.
and allowed to go back to work.
But here's where I am.
Receive back pay.
But you're going to list them all,
No,
right?
no,
and
no, I
but
can't.
or whichever ones you're going to list.
Okay.
And then at the end of it, so what? Now what? That's what we're going to get to. So you're going to list them, and we can list them again. We can put them on the page. We can have them scrolling down some video.
Right.
But at the end of the day, so what? What are we going to do?
And that's a good question. You know, for me, it's frustrating that that's the question, and equally as frustrating for me is that, you know, there was a Trayvon Martin, and there will be other Trayvon Martins.
But what are we going to do?
But yeah, and this is where I'm going to lead up to that. There was a Trayvon Martin, and there are going to be several other Trayvon Martins, and there are going to be several more George Zimmermans, and the problem with that is that Trayvon Martin is dead, and George Zimmerman is not.
But what do we?
And
all right, but what I want to do, right? But I
to-
don't want to just incite, so people
No, I'm
know
not trying
this.
to incite.
But
That's not-
what you're talking about, people already know.
I'm just
They
venting.
know that Trayvon's dead. They know that.
I'm venting right now.
Okay.
I'm venting to the fact
But
that.
but the community vents and then does nothing, right?
And this is my problem, because for me, you know, and this is what I hear all the time with folks. Had it been my so and so, I would have so and so.
But you know what?
I hear that all the time. We say that all the time. If it was, man, that couldn't have been my mama on the train. That couldn't have been my daddy that was there. That couldn't have been my so and so. I hear us say that all the time. But you know, I don't see the reality of that.
Right. So here's a caller here's somebody on there that says more than just a police problem. And so that's what I'm trying to get to.
I didn't say it was a police problem, because George Zimmerman was not a police officer.
Right.
So,
Well,
caller, stay with us.
So what is the problem? So let's get to it now, right? So we pointed out what's happened. So what's the problem?
I think we have become.
Who's we?
Yeah. Give me a
right.
second. I'm
Yeah,
gonna get on
because
that.
the we is important. Right?
I think we the people have become cowards,
Yeah.
and we become cowards, and everybody knows that. So just like any other bully, if they don't feel like they will ever get punched back in the face, they're going to continue to punch you in the face without any fear or regard.
So how do we punch him back in the face? See, I'm always about the how. Like as quickly as we can, I want to get to the how.
I'm just thinking. I have an answer in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking from the legal standpoint how I can really answer that without then next time you on the radio without
I'll be
me
explaining
here,
where you are.
explaining
But
where
you got
I'm
a bail's bondsman.
that's true. But I'm sure you know people will find a way.
Right. So
to,
so what I'm gonna say is this, right?
Yeah,
and I understand that you're venting. I understand that the
venting.
community
I'm venting.
is upset about it. And when you see the videos like that, and you see police officers continuously
No, I'm not promoting fighting.
right, to continuously mistreat folk. But here's the thing.
But we need to do more than just words. People
Well,
on my
we do.
thread talking about with words and
Well-
grab some coffee and don't promote. I'm not promoting fighting, but these are the facts. These are the facts. The facts of the matter is, some bullies need to get punched in the face.
Well, I did no. So I
That's not a fact?
Well, I don't.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying some bullies you can have a conversation with, and reason with, and rationalize them and say, hey man, look man, we're the same, and we blah blah blah, and some with a conversation.
So what I would say is this: I never would advocate violence, right? I would suggest that
Good morning out there.
that you do everything you can, and you have the power to try to extricate yourself from a situation that might escalate to become a violent one.
Okay, that sometimes that's true and sometimes that's not. Do we both?
Well,
would we not agree?
But I mean, so I'm unclear. So for instance, if the young lady, the older woman was being manhandled, and if she had the wherewithal to be able to defend herself, then certainly she should have done that.
No, she's 76 years old.
Right, but I think that what we were talking about though was that
the arresting officers were much bigger.
Right, and so here's the question, right? When we continue to look at,
I can't be in a situation like that. What I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this honestly. I cannot be around a situation such as that, because if a situation such as that happens, it's going to be a whole different ending.
Oh, you're saying a bystander should have stepped in?
A bystander videotaped it.
But are you saying that a bystander should have attacked a police officer?
I'm going to say this. If I was there, she didn't have to be related to me or nothing. I'm going to tell you right now. I can't be in a situation like that. And that's going to go down. What's going to happen is you're either going to read about me in one form or another. You're either going to talk about, there's going to be like, man came to the defense, to the aid of a bystander.
So here's the thing. Wait, so and this is
and in the course of that event.
But what I got to do is I got to issue a disclaimer for the radio show and for the station that the views of the co-host are not necessarily the views of Splash Radio.
That's true.
I got to say that, right? So because what we want to be is responsible in the things that we say, because we do have a lot of listeners who listen to the show.
Right. And again, my thing is, it angers me that I have to be honest. It angers me when I constantly. I mean, especially, I'm going to keep talking about.
But let me ask you a question. Does it just anger you when you see a police officer mistreat somebody? If you were sitting there and there was a young man who was mistreating a black young man who was mistreating a black woman, or a black man who was mistreating a white woman, or a Chinese woman, or anybody else.
I'm going to answer your question right now, because, and I said this at the end after we, unfortunately our time ran out yesterday, and I continued talking on live. The one thing I can guarantee you honestly about myself is there's always been the majority, and this has been me in school leading up to now, the majority of the fights, I can say 80% of the fights in my life have been coming to the aid of somebody who has been bullied. I've brought the fight to whomever. I'm like, oh, this person doesn't want to fight you, and you're stepping towards them to continue to bother them and bully them. They're doing nothing wrong to you. And then I stepped in, and I took up arms for them. So that's always been my stance. So I know for a fact that if I'm in that situation and that's going down, it's going down. Because it's not going to happen. For me, it bothers me when I continually hear some crazy stuff going on. Some crazy stuff going on with this guy Zimmerman and other stuff constantly. He gets to do this, he gets to do that. He goes to gun shows and he's signing autographs.
But stop for a second, because you're having the conversation about Zimmerman, which was in Florida. Wait. But I'm saying right here in Newark, you have thugs who are terrorizing our senior citizens. So we don't have to go to Florida to deal with Zimmerman.
But I just
we can do that right here.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I'm not talking about Florida.
But I'm saying we can do it.
It doesn't matter. My whole thing is that, and I'm speaking to all the men in particular out here. We have to regain control of our communities. We have to regain control of our communities. We have to stand up and stop being cowards.
Okay,
because whether it's the thug down the street who's doing this, that, and the other, you have to have. Let me
but you're lecturing now, right? But I want to get to the how. So you say we have to do this thing, and I'm saying how. So again, listen. There's not a listener right now or somebody who's tuned in on Facebook who doesn't understand that thugs are ruling the streets. There's nobody who doesn't understand that.
And there's a saying go, and I'm going to paraphrase, is the fact that evil can continue to exist when good chooses to remain silent.
So,
so just the same, cowards and others can continually
but we get
run.
it. But we get it. We get that part of it.
I'm speaking of I'm talking locally and nationally.
But what do we do? Right. So again, what do we do? So
You
because we're
get
going to
up-
wake up tomorrow.
All right, this is what you don't do.
So
And
for
I-
all
and
the
I-
people
and
who
I
are
posted-
listening right now,
I'm going to tell you what we're going to do.
okay, go ahead. What are they going to do tomorrow?
And one of the things that and I also posted today is that
but I want to get to what they're going to do.
right
Because
faith without action
right.
is just a
But
wish.
what is the action?
It's just a wish.
But
okay?
what's the action?
All right, the action is getting up, standing up,
And doing what?
Taking charge. If I had to dictate to men how to take charge, then what you need to do is go ahead and turn in your man card. If you don't understand what taking charge means, if you don't understand what all that encompasses, then you need to turn that man card in.
Okay.
Because we need to get up and take charge again of our communities, not and be responsible in our communities. Be responsible and take charge of our households. We need to, because we're not doing that. We're not, and we need to get back to community managing ourselves and our children rather than being individualistic about it. Because it does take a community. It does take a village to raise a child.
All right, but you sound very preachy about that with
It
no
does.
real solutions. Like what? So tomorrow, what I'm getting at, so somebody listens, they go, you know what, Ian, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Yep, the community, we don't have any control over it. Yep, the men are not taking control over it. So tomorrow morning, what should we do? That's what I'm at. And so, and I talk about this too, because I see exactly what you see.
Right.
And what I'm saying, and I continue to say, is this. Until we deal, two things. One, folks at home need to raise their children properly, right? And then beyond that, for the ones who don't, there is justice out there by way of the law. And the law will deal with them if the parents don't. Now, so that there is equitability or equal treatment, right? I think that we need to make sure that we have in place policies that treat people fairly, right? Now, if you're going to go to jail, you're going to go to jail, but you should be fair across the board. But we don't have, in a lot of the communities that we complain about the mistreatment of black people or anybody for that matter, the community is not leading the leadership. And because the community is not leading the leadership runs amok. The leadership sets policies that are not beneficial for the community, what a union may want as opposed to what's best for the community. So all of those things start to happen. Now, what people have to do, and I keep saying this, all of it comes down to participating.
Right.
Not being, not sitting around and waiting for somebody to do something for you, but you do it for yourself. So police are not treating you the way that they should treat you, then you need to get new leadership. You need to make sure that you're voting in.
But you
new
also
leadership.
need to get involved.
Well, you do.
You need to get involved.
But listen,
more than just at the ballot. Paul.
No.
You need to be involved, but more than just at the ballot.
I'm telling you, if you don't, you can get involved all you want.
If you more than just the ballot box. That's all I'm saying. I didn't say not including.
Oh.
But you have to do more than just be at the ballot and say, I'm clicking on so and so.
No, I agree with that.
Good morning, Nobles. Yeah, you gotta do more than just I'm just going to the poll because we have to not only exercise our vote, we also have to exercise our rights. We have to exercise our rights beyond just the right to vote. We have to exercise our right to live freely and comfortably within the society. We have the right to live equally amongst the society. We have those rights, and we need to not ask for those rights because these are rights that are already ours. We need to demand them. There's no more asking. Everything, all this nice stuff, we can't continue to just be nice all the time because nice.
Well, I don't think that it's a matter of people being nice, Ian. I think it's a matter of people being ignorant. I mean, see, you're too nice.
I don't think it's just ignorant.
I think that people are ignorant. I think that people, well, two things. I think that people are ignorant, and I said this before. In these communities, people have a dysfunctional relationship with their leadership, and it is paramount to an abusive relationship. And they believe in some twisted kind of way that the leaders there give a damn about them, and they don't. And it's evidenced by everything they see and experience in their communities and in their lives. They're not living quality lives. Their kids are not being educated in quality schools. Right. They don't have jobs. They're living in filth, right? They can't. They have to board up and bar up their windows and homes. But then they come out and say, "Oh, our leaders love us." That's dysfunctional.
Well, yeah, that is dysfunctional.
They're not being nice. It's dysfunctional.
But the other thing is,
and that's everywhere. So even, what was the kid's name who was shot? They said that he took something out of his store in Ferguson. Was it Brown? Mike Brown, right?
Brown.
So, I haven't done the research, but we recognized then that Ferguson was, 90-some% black? Right, but there was no black person on the police department. I don't think there was a black elected official, right? But people are complaining about how they're being treated.
Well, there's a couple of things. You know what? I just realized I was on your page and I was inviting the entire world, which is fine. Everybody's still tuning in. I thought I was on my page, but. Good
and
morning,
then I want to, this is going to be Kevin, and we're gonna finish this, and then we're gonna switch. But I want to get the point out to the people about how you feel and everything, and then we're gonna go on. Hey, is this Kevin?
Yes, sir, buddy. How you doing?
Good morning, brother.
Hey, how you doing, man? So
man, I got a terrible cold. I didn't want to infect you.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I'm not in the mood to getting sick. I'm trying to tell you.
Well, not during the Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, you're sick already, Ian.
Well,
Ian is venting right now.
You know what? Because
about the mistreatment of our people. People, I think people in general, but specifically
it's people in general, and sometimes I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And sometimes words just have to transform into action. I'm just at some point because I have a problem that people like Zimmerman. I'm not going to just say Zimmerman. People like him can walk about comfortably without concern or anything. That's a problem for me. That really bothers me.
So here's the question I want to ask you. Personally, what are you doing to change that? It bothers me
that he has less
But my question
fear.
is, but personally, what are you doing to change it? So if it bothers you, and it bothers a lot of people, right? What are we doing, and what are you doing to personally change that?
Well, individually, as I've always been, in regards to Zimmermans and others, within my space, within my reach, when those incidences won't go down, how am I going to word this? They won't go down and just end, and that's going to be the end of the conversation.
So Ian's in here, I think, Kevin, tiptoeing around the idea
I can't tiptoe around. Well, I have to tiptoe. I have to be
throwing
smart.
hands, if necessary, to remedy the situation.
What I'm saying is that what I'm trying to say is
I think that's what he's saying, Ken.
What I'm saying is that
my people are saying, please explain. They're saying you're not being clear. That I'm literally getting this on the thread.
I understand that, and a lot of them I know, and I invited. I'm glad they're over there. I was like, why am I so far away? I was looking at myself on your page, all right. The reason why probably there's tiptoeing going around in some people's eyes, but some people can understand, and they can understand and read between the lines, and some people need full explanation.
But you've been tiptoeing for 20 minutes. What you saying, man?
Sometimes it's necessary to tiptoe.
I gave the disclaimer. I said that Splash Radio, that the views of the co-host are not shared by Splash Radio.
Right.
So go ahead. The disclaimer has been made.
Yeah, but I still
Go ahead.
yeah, but now I have to have my attorney on standby and stuff
Oh, okay.
like that because
Kev, I wish you were in here today, man.
I'm just honestly, man. I mean, as I'm venting and all that, and wrap up Fridays. I mean, I speaking as a parent, I believe.
Well, let's ask Kevin. Kevin, so what do we do to remedy stuff like this?
What's the issue? Because I'm confused now. What's the issue? What was the one point? What was the one point you were trying to make? I mean, what was it, Eric? What was it?
My issue is, I started off talking.
I think we're talking about the general mistreatment of people. Are we talking about that by police officers?
Not just police officers.
Oh, okay. So I think what he's saying, I'm going to try to sum it up, and you tell me if I'm wrong, that our community, that people, police officers included, have run amok, and that we need to take control of our community.
I don't know. I think that there's some good police officers, some bad police officers. I think that, I think our community has a bigger issue. I mean, we're in complete denial. I mean, let's deal with, how we keep picking leaders that are so irrelevant to what we need in the future.
Exactly. That's what I said.
I mean, listen, when I hear people complain now, I just laugh. Because you have every 4 years, every 2 years, from congressional, every 6 years, senatorial, federal, you can vote, right? So if you don't go and vote, that's your problem. You see the conditions that are happening in the city. We're in a police state right now. We're being mismanaged right now. We have misogynistic behavior occurring. We know all of this stuff. And we know that we got a bad school system, but nobody came out to vote. Right? We know that there's bad police officers. We get that. I get that. But there are a lot of good police officers, too. But there's a bigger issue. We have police officers that are being used, as a Gestapo in the city of Newark. I don't see residents talking about that. So at the end of the day, I mean, I don't, as far as Newark is concerned, or New Jersey is concerned, or Essex County is concerned, we got a lot of, plantation politics going on that I don't hear anybody fighting.
And I think that those are happening everywhere, right? So we see on the news, what happened in Ferguson, right? But the way you deal with what happened in Ferguson is you go to the booth, you vote in new people, right? So you can change the policies. But until that happens, and I fear, like I said, I haven't looked up the statistics, but I fear that those people didn't come out in any larger numbers, after Mike Brown was murdered, and to vote out people and to vote in new people. I would almost guarantee you that.
Well, we all know that the system is operating against us as African. Listen, all right, let me just give you an example. We have the Tea Party, right? Mm-hmm. We have the Christian right, right? We have all of these small minority groups that have gone into their districts and have changed the landscape of politics by picking people that subscribe to either their craziness or subscribe to their bottom line, right? As African Americans, we get up every day and we vote Democrat.
Period.
We get up every day and we don't put an agenda on the table that's sufficient for us to survive in the next 25 years, right?
And all we do is just give the vote.
No, but it's different. I'm talking about the psychological damage that we've done to ourselves and our communities by doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that bothers me the most. And we have to do something about that, but I don't know what we do, because when you start talking about it, Ian, people say, well, why are you doing this? Because no one else is doing it. When you start doing it, then we can go on vacation.
Yeah. Well, yesterday I ran into a lady. Didn't physically run into her. She and I were at a light, and there was a young person who was crossing the street. This happened to be a white woman. I was up in Livingston, and this white kid was crossing the street, and she said to me, and he was crossing against the light, so we had to nail our brakes. And she said, why do kids behave like this? Why are, there's just so much disrespect and no rule for law. And so she was going on and on with me. And then she tied it into Donald Trump, right? She said Donald Trump gave everybody a license to behave like this. And, and I stopped and said, I think that we gave Donald Trump a license to run. Right, that we didn't do the things that we should have done as an electorate, as a community, as a society, that made it uncomfortable for him to believe that he could even become the president of the United States. So we're sitting on our hands on local levels. We're sitting on our hands on a national stage, and this whole thing is just going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh yeah, I mean we're in bad shape. I don't know if you've been watching the news and you've been watching his rollout from Saudi Arabia to Israel to Rome to meet the Pope, and to his statement at NATO. I am completely petrified. Now, I mean, this guy is bullish, unintelligent, I mean, completely dishonest. I mean, anytime you open up the global papers, right, the Spiegel in Germany, and they write an editorial against the sitting president of the United States of America, what does that tell you? We're in bad shape. I don't know if you read that yet, Eric. I don't know if you shared it with Ian, but it says here, Germany must stand up in opposition to the 45th president of the United States and his government. That's difficult enough already for two reasons, you know, and it goes on and on and on, and it talks about this autocrat that's going to destroy, you know, this thrive of the world to America. I mean, it is. I mean, and guess what? And African Americans should be really involved in this discussion. All we're doing is saying he's a bad guy, but all of his policies are going to wipe us out. His policies at the national level are going to wipe us out. And I mean, all we can do as pundits or people that are talking about it is to try to keep the information flowing. But we have a serious issue on our hands. So we have inadequate leadership at the local level, and we have crazy leadership at the national level, and we have a geopolitical situation in the world that people are saying that America must be crazy to have elected a person like that. So, you know, they already think Americans are bullish anyway. So now we got this crazy guy shoving and pushing to get in front of the line, standing up in front of NATO and
well, let me ask you a question about that. But did you see it, Ian, at NATO where Trump pushed to get in front of the...
that was well, let me ask you, was funny, gangster, rude. But it was all the above.
So now, but Spicer said, and you know, Spicer said that there were pre-assigned placements for the photo, and that Donald Trump was moving into the place that he should have been in.
And even if that was a true statement, the manner in which he moved into that position shows his lack of everything. His home training.
Lack of grace. His lack of grace. I mean, this guy is one of the most ignorant presidents that we've ever had. I mean, he clearly doesn't want to know anything about what's happening in the world. I mean, he clearly doesn't understand the order of democracy. He clearly doesn't understand that illiberalism is spreading all around the world. And by him acting like that roguish behavior only allows the rest of the world to act the same way. The crazy people.
Now before.
And then if you look.
Go ahead.
No, and then if you turn on Fox News and you turn on, you know, that other news that's out there, they're actually applauding this guy. I mean, it is fascinating to see, and I think that we're going down a slippery slope.
And I agree.
We are in. Yeah.
I agree. You know what is so amazing is that how easy it is for us to, because of our president, get on a topic, no matter what topic we start on, we end up on Donald Trump, and then we just find it hard to get off of him, and it's really...
Well, no, but it's not that we're getting on him. It goes back to your earlier discussion.
No. I'm saying once we because he's so Donald Trump. I don't know how to put it other than the man is just out of his damn mind. But he's so out of touch that once it's so easy to get in a conversation, and then we're talking about this guy, and then he ends up sucking up all the darn air in the room, and I really don't want to give him that much more time.
Oh, well, I think you should, because there's a couple of things that are happening in the country right now. I don't know if you've been paying attention.
Right.
But there's this whole reorganization. Let me just make my point. There's a whole reorganization of NAACP going on right now, right? And I'm curious to see what that reset is, right? On the legal side, we have a number of things that are they're trying to reverse all of the Obama's positions on our judicial system, right? That was really breaking down these long sentences for African Americans and or poor people that are in prison right now. These small drug charges that led to 25 years in prison. I mean, Obama did a great job in trying to manage that before he left. So the NAACP and those kinds of organizations right? They're going to be important for the next 3 years.
Right.
Right? So for NAACP to say they're going to do a reset, I think that's very important. We should be looking at that, right? Now, as far as our community leaders are concerned, as far as we are concerned, because we're community leaders, we have to take a more of a vocal position on these issues, too. You know, this whole political correctness about how can you say it, what should you say, I think we need to get real with each other. We have a serious problem. Look, this morning at Harvard yesterday, the creator of Facebook, what's his name again, Eric?
Oh, Mark
The name's
Zuckerberg.
always like Mark Zuckerberg said there's going to be almost 300,000 to 400,000 jobs that people will never be able to attain because we're not training our people for the 21st century economy. We've talked about that on this show. We've talked about that.
Right.
And then he talked about entrepreneurialism. Then he talked about, you know, being innovative and creative and, you know, sticking in there and doing that. And we don't have that culture in our community anymore. We go from government. We don't even have a conversation about a private sector. We just have a conversation about government. You know, sticking in there and doing that. And that's an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so in all of those things, I'm going to come back to this. When in our community, we hear a guy like Mark Zuckerberg make that statement, and then we're not prepared as a community to look at the leadership that we have, right, to ensure that our leadership has a plan to make sure that the folks in our community have the requisite skill sets to be able to compete for those jobs, and then we allow those leaders to stay in those positions, then we got a problem. We got a big problem. So the thing, Ian, I think is that we can't look at some of the stuff that you're talking about without looking at all of this stuff, and then reckon, you know, the things that Kevin's referring to, and then saying, you know, there's a real sickness in our community.
Now, I agree. Now, I'm going to say this. You know, you guys are 100% right in regards to a lot of stuff, especially regarding Trump and regarding how we are viewed nationally, et cetera, so on. You're starting out locally, and what I was talking about yesterday, or rather, what I started off talking about here is it kind of ties into what we were talking about a little bit yesterday when we had the brother call in from the Hope organization. Is our lack of understanding of politics, who does what their roles are, who to go to.
Civics.
We have
civics. We have no civics.
We have really so little understanding of that. When we have problems in our community, the first thing black folks do in particular is that we run to our preacher. When we have civil issues going on within our community, we run to the preacher. And when other communities have civil issues going on that they want to address, they run to the appropriate person who is in control or in charge of that particular thing. That's going to make those changes. And a lot of that is because we really don't know who to go to, who does what, and how to organize. Because I think
that's bull crap. I think the fact of the matter is that we're ill informed. The fact of the matter is that we are lazy in the middle as a community. The fact of the matter is we don't really want to have serious conversations about what's going to be happening.
That's exactly right.
I
think that there are two things. I think that part of it, Kev, is that we don't want to have the conversations. That's one part. I agree. I think that we're ill-informed. I think that some of us don't want to have the conversation. We'd rather be plugged into the matrix than to be free and have to work. Yeah. And then I think the other piece is, and we got to remember this piece, I think you have insidious people on the other side who are working tirelessly to keep us in the condition that we're in. But, right.
Actually, you're absolutely right about that. Just look at your radio show, right? Just look at your radio show. Just think about it for a second. You've had several mayors on your radio show, correct?
Yep.
You've had administrators that represent city government, correct? You've had professionals that are talking about, you know, what they're doing in those communities, right? And they should be commended, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the issue. when people listen to your show, they listen to your show based on what they feel about you, Eric, as opposed to what they should be getting, the value they should be getting. So if we're on the show talking about geopolitics, or we're on the show talking about illiberal, populist issues that are affecting it's economic growth, it's economic patterns that's going to be impacting us locally, you would think that they would be involved. I got to tell you something. I think the average person, right, is ill-informed. They don't read. They're not empowered by information. And when they listen to your show, instead of getting that information and using it to empower them, they want to talk about how your hair is cut, how you say something about them, when in fact you're challenging them to do better. And I find that in our community a lot.
Well, I agree, and even on the and I want to be clear for the listeners, even when we're talking about geopolitical issues, we're talking on the national stage. It all impacts you. Newark, Essex County, New Jersey doesn't operate in a bubble. Right, we're affected by how all of these things happen, and so if you don't view yourself connected, and I think that that's really the crux of it. People don't view themselves connected to anything bigger than them. Right? And then now let's branch that out. So that's the neighborhood. They don't feel themselves connected to the neighborhood. They don't feel themselves connected to their city or township. They don't feel themselves connected to the county that they're in, or the state that they're in, or for that the region or the country that they're in. They're operating literally every day in a little bubble with their lives. And it's a problem because everything else that they're trying to ignore is impacting their lives in all of the ways that we talk about. All of them, you know. That's true. I mean, listen. At the end of the day, we all have a community. You know, we all represent different communities in the city of Newark, or in Montclair, or in East Orange, or in Irvington. I believe that there's some real decent people out there that really care about their community, want to keep their streets clean. But I think those people are getting exhausted. I think that there's a malaise out there. There's a fatigue out there, and and nobody wants to deal with it because everybody's positioning themselves to do something that will never happen if we don't do it collectively. And in sitting in a room with you, Eric, I don't have to agree with you, Ian, I have to agree with you, but at the end of the day, the most prepared person, the most informed person does better than the person that's selling you bull crap.
That's true.
The person that's telling you poverty propaganda every day. The person that's sending you one message for doing another. So at the end of the day, what are you supposed to do as an African-American male and as a father, right? And as a leader, are you supposed to stand still and let that happen, or are you supposed to use the vehicle that you have, which is your radio show, whether I like you or not, Eric, to talk about that? I don't have to agree with you, but guess what? You're talking about issues that I see and I hear every day. I turn on my TV. Everything that you're talking about, I hear Morning Joe. I hear on Bloomberg. I see on CNBC. I see everywhere. So if a white guy is telling me that, right? If a white guy is telling me that on air, did we listen to them more than we listen to what we're saying and what's happening in our own community?
Right. So this is what I want to get back. So I'm going to bring it back local for a quick second because I was thinking about this. And then I think it pushes all the way up to national stuff because I'm already thinking 2020. Right? We can sit and talk about Donald Trump now and so forth, but we have to have a strategic plan for 2020. Otherwise, we're going to be in a big jam, my opinion.
Well, the Democrats don't have any plan.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But black communities should. I mean, we have so many intelligent people in our community. We have so many people. I mean, we have a lot of good stuff happening, right? When you do your Monday shows, right? When you should tell us what you're doing, right? I mean, those 3 people that we had come on that show are from Newark, right? So they should be a part of the debate.
Well, that's exactly what I was getting to. So they're not,
right.
And so let's talk locally again, Ian, about what to do about some of the things that you say you see in the community. Because I don't necessarily know that throwing hands is the way to resolve it.
Well, I'm saying it has to be one educating, and we have to find a way to motivate because a lot of us are going through a state of depression on a regular basis, and a lot of us don't even know it. And in regards within there's so much lack of economic
Right.
anything, no jobs.
I agree with all of that. But
So
what
now-
I'm saying is this. So in our community, right, we have, whether it's the Urban League, whether it's IYO, whether it's these churches in the community, other leaders that we allow to walk freely in our community.
I think
right?
that we need to.
And they don't do anything.
No,
I think
I'm
that
gonna-
we
I'm
need
gonna
to
tell
be
you
about
what
the
you-
business
All right, so you know
of
what?
holding them accountable.
I'm gonna
right, for putting up or shutting up.
I'm gonna try to.
But
I'm gonna try to not dance too much anymore. This what I think. Honestly, we need to do is kind of get more. We need to. If we need to get more, like if anything, we need to get more like the Black Panther Party was. Like,
Ooh.
and y'all laughing, but I'm gonna say this: the Black Panther Party, they weren't a group of thugs out there looking for trouble to start with. Okay,
You're right.
The Black Panther Party did exactly some of the things that you're doing.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. Okay, so stop for a second. So we're going to stop.
Our communities.
So let's stop for a second. Let's pause there. Ian, please. Every day I feed people. I post it on my page. I get not one person that. Well, that's not true. I do get a couple people that have come and helped. I'd appreciate you coming and helping, right? I appreciate people helping me unload all of that. I agree with that. That the Black Panther Party helped provide resources. So the radio show is a resource. The food is a resource. So let's look to try to grow those things.
Right.
I agree with that.
But I was trying to, because unfortunately, just like every other thing about our history and our culture, it's been whitewashed and misdefined.
But I want to get back to solutions. So I have two solutions. So let's do these two solutions.
People, because I don't want to assume anything.
Go ahead.
We can't assume that the listeners know anything about the Black Panther Party beyond.
We'll post the thing in the link so that they can read about the Black Panther Party.
Beyond what they have been shown.
But I'm saying post it in the link.
And
but
told,
let's come to solutions.
Because a lot of people are under the false impression that they were a violent organization.
I get that. But post it in the link so that they now know that they're not. But I'm saying,
but
so in our community, let's do the things that were positive that the Black Panther Party does. And let's start on Monday. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
I just want to get to solutions. So let's figure out how to start on Monday. So Monday I'll be feeding some people, and I want to know who's going to help.
And that was getting people ready and involved for voting. That was providing.
I'm going to be on Broad Street registering people to vote during the Memorial Day parade.
I understand.
So come help do that.
I'm not just talking about individual accomplishments and what you do.
No, I'm not.
But I'm answering the question. What are the things that we need to do within our community to get control back of our community? It wasn't that not the question? So what we need to do, some of the things that you're currently doing, but I'm saying what we need to do is to one, get out here and be involved and take control.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
You know what they need to do. You know what they need to do.
Allow me to. One of those things is we need to secure our community.
What does that mean? How?
Everybody.
I'm saying how?
Eric, every other sentence, I can't. Let me get it in.
But go ahead, Ian.
Let me
give him a second.
What I'm saying is,
give him the last 4 minutes before we go to commercial.
And I'm saying just like similar to what the Black Panther Party did back then is what we need to do now. They made sure our communities were secure. They made sure that our communities were secure. They didn't allow certain thuggery behavior and other stuff going on within their community on their watch. There were no drug dealers standing on the corner of their watch. It wasn't happening. They made sure
But you're preaching again, Ian. So are you saying that we should stand on the posts on the corners? That we should have about what we should do?
That's one of the. But that's what I'm saying.
What should we do?
That's one of the things we need to do.
Okay.
The other things that we need to do is also do what we're doing, making sure that our seniors and our children are okay, safe, going to and from, and making sure everybody that they're
create
fed.
safe corridors.
And making sure that they're fed, just in a manner that you're doing as well.
Okay.
Yes, all those things need to be done. Yes, we need to get them involved and educate them on on what's going on politically. We need to do that. We need to create community centers and others for the children, safe havens for them.
Okay, so who's the we now? So now let's get to who's the we.
And we need to understand what cooperative economics is and be more involved with that. For example...
So now who's the we?
For example...
Who's the we? Who's the we?
We the people, all of us, but I'm talking specifically starting out with the African American community. We need to do that.
Okay.
And we need to understand what cooperative economics is as well, for example, because the only black continuously...
Who's going to lay the first brick to build this? Who's going to lay the first brick to build it?
We're talking about what we need to build, the house that we need to build. And you're talking about what individual person needs to build. I'm talking about what we all need to build.
Where does it start?
It's starting here right now with this conversation that we're having.
Okay, and then what's going to happen tomorrow?
We're going to continue moving
How?
forward and building off this thing.
And I'm saying all those generalizations is not going to happen.
This is what's all right.
There's no plan, but there's no plan.
No, this is the plan.
What is the plan?
You already have within the Black Panther Party, for example, there were several different factions and groups that had parts and their responsibilities and duties to take care of. There was somebody that was involved, that was responsible to make sure that the community was fed. You're handling that. There's going to be somebody handling the part that our community is secure. We're going to do that. We're going to make sure that our people are informed in education part. We're going to have somebody in charge of that. We're going to make sure, all these different areas that need to be set up. We need to stop these 59 different, 10,000 different organizations, that are all tripping over each other's feet. We have this league and that. Similar to, we got 9,000 Baptist churches.
All right, but
and I'm like,
understand.
Similar to that. What the problem is, we have 10,000 different organizations of leaders, rather than having one real significant one that's really doing something.
Go ahead.
But we have two calls.
Yeah, we got two calls. But we can go to a break. Go ahead, Kev. We got 20 seconds and then we're going to a break. Go ahead.
Hey, callers on hold. Just remain on hold. We're gonna go on break in about 30
Kev,
seconds.
Hold that thought, and then when we come back from break, we'll let you continue that thought.
I'll call back in. No problem, buddy.
All right, brother.
Bye-bye.
So, before we have to have the solution. So, I can tell you about all the churches. I can tell you about all the things I can tell you about the murders. I can tell you about the... But at the end, if people just know more of what they already know, and they haven't gotten anything new or an action plan to operate from, then what have we done? We'll be right back after
Current time, Flash Radio, 94.3.
Radio. Pick up the phone and tell them to hold on.
Dance hall.
Pick the first one up.
Soca. R&B.
We're going on break. Hold on. Stay on hold.
African. Disco.
Oldies
but
goodies.
good.
We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Janet Jackson.
We're bridging the gap. Seriously.
I'm not really frustrated.
Flash Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Hey, did you see that post online about Julie? I totally wrote it. Wasn't it hilarious? Is all of that true? Who cares? She's done anyways. Are you talking about that post about Julie? Yeah, funny, right? No, but that post about you was. What post? Oh, you didn't hear? You're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, and oh yeah, you smell too. The whole school saw it, no big deal. That's so mean. Did they really write that about me? No, but how does it feel?
Sometimes you can feel all alone when being bullied, and that's when you can really use a friend. If you see someone or know someone that's being bullied online, let them know they're not alone. Stand up now, support a friend, and save a life. For more information on cyberbullying, visit stopthemean.wordpress.com or call the hotline at 1-800-555-STOP. A message from your friends here at Splash Radio.
Okay. All right, Joe, we got a commercial break. I see y'all out there. We're going to get to the answers.
Hi, this is McBoomin Moving. Box truck for rent for all your light moving needs. Anywhere within the Northeast Orange, Irvington Orange area. $50 a trip from Monday through Thursday. $60 from Friday through Sunday. Call 862-279-9300. That's 862-279-9300.
Right back.
Splash Radio 94.3. Reggae. Dance hall. Soca. Hip hop and R&B. African. Disco. Oldies but goodies.
Hi, this is Janet Jackson.
We're bridging the gap. Seriously. Splash Radio 94.3 New Jersey.
Well, I don't know, so Mr. J represent for 94.3 FM Splash Radio. We just splash out the music on them.
You're listening to the Eric Dawson Radio Show on 94.3 FM.
Hey, this, excuse me. This is Eric Dawson. This is the Eric Dawson Radio Show. Co-host Ian Burrowes, and we also have Kevin Jenkins, who's on the line. He's going to call back. But let's take these callers before we continue.
All right.
Hello,
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Going to ask you to turn your radio down,
yeah,
please.
Turn down your radio and join us.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Okay, I just want to say, y'all having a great show today. This is Farrakhan.
Good morning, Farrakhan.
The thing is, and I hear your point about, doing something and acting more like providing in the community like the Black Panthers did and so forth. But the problem today, though, in my opinion, the number one problem is that today people do not have the understanding of who is their enemy. The difference with the Black Panther Party, they knew who their enemy was. They knew who they were fighting, and they knew why they were fighting them. Today, you don't have that. If you ask a 20-year-old black male or female today, who is your enemy? Who is the number one person, entity, or situation holding you back from progress? They do not know it. And if you don't know who you're supposed to be fighting, it's like shadow boxing. You'll just be swinging in the air.
No, you're right.
So, and that's the problem. And we have to address that. And you guys, as people who are speaking out and bringing attention to the matter, I ask y'all to think of how do we get.
You know what? I 100% agree with you. Oh man, we got to. Are you still there?
Hey, Farrakhan.
Yeah, our phones are lighting up.
We'll hit you right back.
We'll hit you right back, bro. So wait, before we.
Good morning, caller.
Hello, caller.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Yep.
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, I was calling to answer some of the questions that you were talking about. Man.
Okay, go right ahead. You're on the air. You're on live.
The good thing that you were saying that it is about the solutions. It ain't about like I felt like y'all kept getting off topic and was talking about whatever, but it was about the solutions, and y'all made a lot of good points about the the Black Panthers and things that they were doing.
Right.
So usually when I talk to people, I always talk about what's next, what's the next move or whatever the case may be. So as I said, you made the good points about the feeding people and all the positive. Like, hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just got out of my car. That's why I'm a little frustrated.
Go right ahead, please. We got
the calls are lit up, brother. Go ahead, make your point. I'm sorry. We want you to make your point, but go ahead.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. I had to plug my phone and I didn't want to lose y'all. My phone.
All right, brother. You want to call back then? Let's take the next call. Go ahead.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Ian.
Yes.
Andy Richardson. How are you, sir?
What's up? Good morning, brother. I saw his comment in the thread. This is a friend of mine back in the day from high school.
Okay.
I saw his comment in the thread, like, who are we the people and what are we going to do? Similar questions to what you asked.
Mm-hmm.
And this
my real question is.
Well, let him go because we got other calls. We want to try to get as many as we can in. Go ahead, sir.
When is the first meeting? We know what we need to do. We know it has to be done. When is the first meeting?
That's exactly what I'm asking.
Let's get feet on the ground. That's what needs to happen.
And I'm with you on that.
But that's what I keep saying. So Monday? We meet Monday? I mean Tuesday? Where?
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you.
I want to. We all know the problem. When are we going to first meet?
My honest answer is that I would say next week, Wednesday.
Thanks for the call.
And I say Wednesday because.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, caller. We're back on the air. I would say for me next Wednesday because my daughter's birthdays are on Monday and Tuesday, and Daddy's going to be caught up.
So then we'll call a meeting on Wednesday.
But let me just say this. In order for us to begin solution finding and building, we need to first address what the problem is. So yes, the first part that I was doing was outlining and addressing the issues that we have. And one of the issues is unemployment. Another issue is the lack of respect that we have and what we receive from our politicians and or other civil servants. We have so many different levels of issues that we need to address, and the whole thing is about is doing what we got to do to address those issues. Hold on, caller. And so,
hello, caller.
So go ahead, caller.
Yes.
Yep. Turn your radio down. Yep. Got a point to make?
Yes, I was calling about again about the solutions and what's next. So I feel like, I mean, I know you talked about the churches and leaders that already in power, whatever. And me personally, I feel like they don't do anything. Like
I agree.
Especially churches.
I'm sorry, caller. You have a bad connection. Call us back. Good morning, caller. Go ahead.
No, I was a part of your. I was talking to you, but you hung up on me. You need to get off the phone.
This is Kevin.
Kevin, I'm sorry.
So you know,
no, but check this out.
But I got to tell you what's happening. I don't know if you've been listening, Kevin, but the people are calling and saying, "Yeah, what are the solutions? Like we know the problems, so what are the solutions? What are we going to meet?
I'm gonna say first meeting is Wednesday.
Okay.
And I will tell you a location in the near future.
Let him talk. Go ahead.
Can I say something about solutions?
Yep.
Okay. For the last couple of weeks, we've been doing Tell Us What You're Doing, right? So we had Lacey Davis on the show. He was talking about what he was doing with his program that had high impact. We had Anthony Smith, who's built half of Lincoln Park, who has created a high impact approach to economic and community development. Then we had Layla, who talked about youth empowerment, what she's been doing with her program, Double Dutch. So there's a lot of people that are engaged in solutions. So, you know,
and we can help them.
Solution, and we can, right, and we have been helping them. But the people that say, well, what are the solutions? Well, okay, this is a solution. Get up today, go outside your house in Newark, and sweep in front of your house. This is a solution. Get tomorrow, the next day you get up, right? You go and knock on that school door right down the street from your school and ask, can you come and volunteer some time for that school at that day? You know what you can do? You can go to your church and say, you know what, church, we're too insulated, right, Pastor? We should go out and go to these other nonprofits surrounding our community and see if we can give some of our time to help them with literacy, help them with the things that I think that will create a high impact community, right? So solutions can be very macro and very micro, macro. So I think there's a lot of people when they say, well, what's the solutions? Well, we can give you solutions every day, but the issue is, are you going to act on them?
Right.
Okay. You had a solution. Wait a minute, though. Let me finish, Ian. You had a solution several weeks ago to go and vote to protect your child's life, and you stayed home. You know what I'm saying? So when people say that, and I think a lot of people will bring up very, very good points, but there's small things you can do every day in your community that will bring value to you personally and to your family and to in your neighborhood, right?
Absolutely.
Stand up against a government that's mismanaging your taxpayers' dollars. Don't look at it on TV. Go to the meeting and say, what are you doing with my money? That's a solution. That's a solution.
Listen, here's a solution. What a solution. People complain about the filth that they live in. Get a damn broom and go out and sweep.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So some of the things that we can do are not complicated, but people don't do anything. They want to complain.
And staying silent also for those who know better. When you see something that is, whether if you're seeing a little kid or an adult throwing trash on the ground instead of walking to that darn garbage can, or whether you see somebody bullying somebody or some other thing going on within your community, you need to open up your mouth and say something, and also do something. When you see anybody, whether
No, you know what I'm gonna say? Stop. Because I'm gonna tell you this. When my father was the president of the Board of Education, right, there was garbage outside of Weequahic High School. My father just went and got 4 guys and they would go out every day with brooms, push brooms, and sweep up Chancellor Avenue and sweep the steps. They didn't ask anybody. They didn't say anything to anybody. They didn't tell the kids to pick anything up. They just swept it up. And you know what happened after them doing it for almost a month? People started feeling uncomfortable throwing stuff on the ground because they saw these 5 guys coming out and cleaning up. So, see, I'm saying just
That's one way of doing it,
but
as
just
well.
do something. Just do something. But what we
nobody's not saying not doing anything. Nobody's not saying not doing anything. But that's not the.
I'm not accusing. I'm not accusing anybody.
No, but that's not the only solution because
I'm not saying it's the only one.
Because my problem with that is that I want to tell somebody something that they need to know as well as show them.
You don't think they know when they walk outside that it's filthy? You don't think they know?
I'm talking about.
I mean, come on.
I'm talking about correcting their misbehavior, one by addressing it, and then doing something as well. I'm saying do what your father did, but also open your mouth and like, yo, young man, young lady, don't do that.
You know what? Let me tell you something else. I'm gonna give you another real quick one.
What's wrong with that one?
I'm gonna give you nothing's wrong with it. I'm saying we should do them all, but I'm gonna give you another one. I started taking pictures and posting pictures of filthy lots and things on the page, right? And as a result of it, when I would post it, people would call from City Hall or in Orange or in Irvington, and then they would go and they would clean a lot, right? I then asked other people on my thread, hey, in your neighborhood, if there's a filthy, dirty lot, just take a picture. If you feel uncomfortable posting it, send it to me. I'll post it. I've got not one picture. So I know North's not cleaned up. I know Orange isn't cleaned up. I know they're not cleaned up. But I'm saying people will walk outside, Ian. They'll walk past the filth. They'll pull their phone out if a fight breaks out. You understand? They'll pull a phone out if some nonsense is going on. But to pull their phone out and empower themselves to shame the leadership that is allowing them to live in a filthy environment, they won't do that.
I agree with that, and I think
you know what, Eric? I'm getting to the point now, Eric, that I'm not even blaming the leadership anymore. But my new mantra is don't blame the leadership. No, let me make a point because we say this a lot, and I'm getting to the point now. I'm just going to stop blaming. I'm blaming the people. Every day that I get up and I see this kind of stuff happening in my community, I'm no longer blaming the leaders. The leaders have the right to do what they do. Nothing, right? If they're not doing anything and they're not being held accountable, and if we don't have standards anymore that we believe that bring value to our personal lives and our community and our business, then you know what? We should all just close up shop. Because I'm 55, I'm going on 55 years old, and I've had these kind of conversations with people all over the world, right? So if you go to Switzerland, if you go to these other parts of the country, parts of the world, they are democratically involved in what's happening in their communities, what's happening in their nation, and they are actively involved in educating themselves about how they can retrain their workforce for the 21st century. And we're all over the world. And so what I'm saying to you is, and just in our little city right now, in Newark or East Orange or Irvington or Essex County, my issue, Eric, is I'm no longer blaming the leaders anymore. I'm blaming the people.
All right. Hey, Kevin. Kevin,
we opened the line for a caller.
Yeah, we have another caller on the line with us. Go ahead, caller.
Go ahead.
No, you're still on, Kevin. But caller, go ahead.
You there?
Yep, we're here.
All right, this is Cornell, man. I'm from I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Good morning, Cornell.
I was raised in Irvington.
Good morning, Cornell.
And good morning, you guys. Hey, listen, my fact is that what happened to the neighborhood watch? You know, what happened to like the community watch? You know, where you have meetings. You know, you have your weekly meetings with your neighborhood. And, you know, we guys used to get out there and clean our neighborhoods. We had benefits and everything from the city that would provide, you know, to come, you know, as long as they see us clean our streets up, they come out and fix the sidewalks. Maybe even plant a couple of trees or two. But, you know, these things had to happen within the people itself, you know, because I know like you guys, you grew up in Irvington with me, that we have a terrific park. You know, you can walk across up to, I don't know if you've been up to, the bus station up there off of Springfield Avenue. Once you cross over into Maplewood, that neighborhood's changed. You can tell where your zones are, and to the, you know, to get to the point where, you know, to identify your zone, you had to identify that, you know, identify your street. The community starts with street by street, and if you had, that's just my suggestion. If we still had those community watch, like Neighborhood Watch and everybody's participating, I believe that it'll make things a lot better for everybody. You can't do it in one day, but I believe it.
I agree.
So, Cornell, what I'm going to say is this, and Kevin or Ian, you can chime in. So, I agree that it should begin at the neighborhood level. But what I'll say is this, that in many of our communities here, urban communities here in Essex County, you have politics even playing a role in what happens at the community level, and whether they're district leaders who get run down on by politicians that work to prevent them from doing certain kinds of things, or try to dangle carrots in front of them to get them to do things that get people in the community backbiting against each other. So there is no. I'm telling you, I just think that it is a corrupt and horrible culture that won't allow people who may want to grow in these gardens of weeds as beautiful flowers in these neighborhoods and do things. These weeds choke them out, and these weeds are watered and nurtured by a political culture that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah, but it's something that we I believe it has to do with all about our acceptance, because
I agree.
Like I said, we got our house in Irvington, man. It was like in '79, and it's sad to say, but what was a good thing to say at the point, we was like the second black family on the block, and there was no tolerance. There was no tolerance for anybody walking around looking like they want to get into some trouble. There was low tolerance about, like you said, people walking down throwing stuff on the ground and not picking up. These communities did not tolerate that. Our toleration had went away, and now it's like infestation all over. But it's still about what we allow. If we can go out as a community and say, listen, we're not going to allow this anymore. Just like, you guys are saying, you're tired of this, but, everybody's tired. So everybody has to get out. You can't do it on your own. If we all stand out on our front porches and, out on our front yards or whatever, and say, listen, we're not going to tolerate this.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for your...
things start, but then it stops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for your input, caller.
Right, thank you.
Oh, sure.
You hung him up? That's right. Kevin will call back. But I want to make this point before you do this.
And I got a point, too.
And you can make a point. And Kevin will call in the middle of this and just bring
I'm sorry,
right
Kevin. I'm learning how to use his phone, bro.
So, what Cornell said is 100% right. If you know where Wilbur Avenue is in Newark, Wilbur Avenue is a tiny block off of Chancellor Avenue, and it's only one block between Bergen and Elizabeth Avenue. And it's a community. It really is a community. Some people bought a house down the street from where my dad and my stepmom lived a couple years ago. And last summer, those people threw a party. And I was sitting outside on the porch, and if you go on Wilbur Avenue, you'll see exactly what I say we should be doing. Folks come outside and still sweep in front of their houses. On the aisle in the middle of the street, there are planterns, and people plant flowers and stuff. They take care of that block. So this young couple, was walking down the street. They parked their car and was walking down the street and passed me on their way to this party. And the guy put a piece of candy in his mouth, and he threw the wrapper on the ground. And I stopped. I said, yo, pick that up. And he turned and looked at me, and I said, look at the block, man. I said, you don't see a piece of garbage on this block. I said, why would you do that? And what compelled him to pick it up wasn't so much me telling him to pick it up. He paused and looked at how clean the block was. And he picked it up.
But that shouldn't be a reason for you to that shouldn't be the only reason for you to keep a block clean. There's a level of pride and a lack thereof for some as well. And also the point I wanted to make, a lot of people, we are not addressing the fact that, because we're talking about how come we are like this now and we weren't like this before, this, that, and the other. And part of the answer is this. It's really very simple. And there was even and it showed even amongst elephants, because there was a problem when all of the adult male elephants were being killed, and for the tusk, the ivory, and all that other stuff. And what happened with the rest of the group, they didn't know how to do this, that, and the other, and they started breaking apart as far as the rest of the pack. And a lot of the younger elephants didn't know how to feed themselves. They didn't know how to properly defend themselves because they weren't properly taught by the adult leadership that was there. So part of the problem is why we are the way we are is because our leadership has been dismantled by one form or another, either purposefully, much like the COINTEL. So
what do we do? I'm going to get back to what do we do again?
But we want to talk solution. Let's understand the problem.
You don't think they know the problem? That's what I'm saying.
But how do we get to the problem? One of the ways that we got to the problem became, whereas that we are lacking some of the strong leadership, is they were removed from our communities by a way of COINTELPRO or in other assassinations and stuff like that.
You're saying that Marquise Lewis is down there as the president of the Board of Education because somebody got assassinated. Come on, Ian.
The other way.
Ian, stop.
You're not listening, brother.
No, I'm listening, and it's scaring me.
You can't be listening if you're talking at the same time. This is my point. And the other thing that has happened, this mass incarceration thing that has happened, and it's with us, removing many of our men and other leaders within our community leaves us bare and barren without many leaders. There's a lot of stuff like that took place, and to act like those things didn't contribute to our current condition is not really taking everything and is in full value. You have to consider
Eric,
those.
You know what I think, Eric? I mean, just like we do. Every time I learn something, every time I come on your show. So here's what we do, right? We have the segment when we say, "Tell us what you're doing," right? Why don't we create a segment where people can call up with solutions, and that will give clarity to some of the things that you're talking about and what Ian's talking about. Oh, and by the way, Ian, I did see that elephant thing on PBS, so you are watching TV, so I gotta tell you.
So listen, what I want to say is this. No, seriously. So all of you guys who are listening right now, if you know the problem, right, you hear the problem, you experience, you see the problem, please call in 973-457-8000 and offer a solution.
What about if you do this? What about if you do this, Eric? Because it takes a little creativity.
Oh,
right?
wait a minute. Kev, put them on. We may have somebody just hit the. No, just hit this. Yeah, caller.
Yes, I just want to say, Eric, you're dead right. The reason we have.
You got to let Ian stay off of that.
No, that was me this time. Go ahead, caller. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, you're dead right, Eric. The reason you have a Marquise Lewis or somebody that you feel is weak leadership is because the old strong leadership was attacked and destroyed.
Exactly.
Up anymore.
But that's exactly what I said.
So there is the problem, and again, it all goes back to deciphering who is coming at us first, who is putting us and allowing.
What's the solution?
Our society.
What's the solution? I want solution.
What we have to do is figure that out. Assign the blame.
Yeah.
And the blame doesn't go strictly on us.
Exactly.
Assign the blame to the system that is creating it. And then after that, you can begin to study the system and break that system down.
Because of the facts of this, if you remove strong leadership, you're only left with the weak. That's a reality.
That's what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
I don't disqualify that. I think he makes a very, very good point. So we know that we have failing schools, right? Okay, let's just start there. We know we have failing schools. So what's the solution? The solution is that we have to re-engineer those schools. And how do we re-engineer those schools? We have to bring some of the best and effective, right, community leaders, right, to talk about what our schools should be looking like in the 21st century.
Absolutely.
So in doing that, you develop a plan, right, and then in taking that plan, you create the action, correct? So we got that. So now we know we have the highest unemployment in the state of New Jersey, right, and probably in the top 20 nationally, right? We know that. So we know in re-engineering our schools, they have to be connected, right, to what we do in creating a bandwidth of job opportunities to training our community residents our kids, our teenagers to effectively operate in the workforce in the 21st century. So we create a plan to enact that, right? So now all of the leadership that's presently in place now, some of it old and new, we can play a role in helping them to do that. So we have a high crime rate, right? So Comstat, you had the brother from Irvington the other day, right? Eric?
Yep.
He talked about how he used CompStat. CompStat is a solution to reduce crime, right? So somebody got on the show earlier and said something about community participation or communities operating in their neighborhoods to clean them up. So if you go to that police director and you become a part of the CompStat.
What happened?
Uh-oh.
What did you do?
I tried to. I'm sorry.
Eric. That was
me.
Eric this time.
That was me.
He was in the middle of a good point, and here you go touching things. You know what? Y'all ever see that thing that?
Kevin's gonna make sure he comes in here from now on.
Did y'all ever have that friend?
Kevin, that was me.
Did y'all ever have that friend? Did y'all ever have that friend?
So make sure that we have part of CompStat. Go ahead. I want you to finish that.
Okay, so I mean, getting to the solutions and using the leadership that we have presently, even if it's inadequate, there are certain things that we can do. So we know that we have identified those markers as issues in our community. And we know how we can create the solution by bringing people together of like minds to create a bold, innovative action strategy to address education, to address crime, to address cleanliness. So it's not as complex as people think it is to come up with because you keep saying, what's the solution? So there are 4 things right now that we can work together, and we have the ability and the capacity to change that. Now the question is, why isn't it happening?
Part of my answer.
Wait a minute, though. Ian, I'm a leader in my neighborhood, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm a leader. You're a leader in your neighborhood. The brother that was just on the phone, what's his name? Because he's great.
I think he still made Cornell or Farrakhan.
And the other Farrakhan.
And Farrakhan, are you still on?
Spot on. Farrakhan is always spot on in his assessment, and I appreciate that. But, Eric, we've been talking about schools, we've been talking about crime, we've been talking about inadequate leadership, and there are ways to create solutions to abate that. But we have to identify those groups of people to help us do that, like DeLacy Davis, like Layla Little, like Anthony Smith, people that are already doing stuff to impact our quality of life and impact our communities.
Right. But now,
the body politic has never really been good at doing that. You might have one person in government, maybe 3 or 4 that really understand how to get that done. I mean, the rest of them, the majority of our body politics is so dumbed down to even have a conversation with them earlier on is like a waste, because they're politically having that debate as opposed to having a debate with you to create that sustainable change.
Well, that's 100% right. And so, wait, we just had a call. Caller? Are you on?
Caller, go ahead.
Okay, when you guys were talking about schools and how we can change those, if I'm not mistaken, Newark was taken over by New Jersey. I know Patterson was.
Yes.
And they've taken Patterson over 25 years, and they haven't done anything about it. What should happen is charter schools, and that would help 2 ways, because number one, you're employing other people to your school, and you have the curriculum that you want to teach your people, because that's one of the things that the blacks always complain about is the curriculum, and you'll be in charge of your own curriculum. I don't see why that's not a viable solution to what some of this is going on.
That is a very viable solution. I agree. I'm sorry, and what's your name, caller?
Wait, we're still going.
I have to praise Newark because, you can graduate from Newark high schools with an associate's degree, and what y'all need to do is tell those kids that they need to be taking those classes, because if you come out with an associate's degree, you can go to almost any university out. And that definitely, I was surprised when I heard it, but that's definitely something that y'all need to be talking about.
Beautiful call. Thank you.
Thanks for your input. What's your name, sir?
Sandy Richardson.
Hey, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy.
And I'm going to tell you, a guest y'all need to have on your show is the director of EOF at Bloomfield College, Moretta Hodges. She's actually going to Columbia to get her doctorate in education, and she's trying to put together a charter school in Patterson, actually. But you guys should probably talk to her.
Well, give us a number.
In order to keep your kid,
you want to call her?
I'll give it to you off air. I'll text it to Ian.
All right.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call.
That's fantastic.
And she can help you guys teach these kids how to get enrolled and what they need to do to get in college.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Sandy.
All right.
Thank you.
Later.
Peace.
Are we going to do this right?
I love these wrap up Fridays, man.
I don't know how to hang up on one caller. Oh, Ian figured it out.
Bam.
Ian,
what?
Right.
Holla at your boy. Holla at your boy.
So, but this is what I want to say. And Farrakhan was right about one thing, right? He was right about several things. But when he talked about the fact that we don't know who our enemy is, it's an important point.
Right.
And so as we are talking about organizing around, jobs and schools and crime, I'm telling you, there is an enemy that's not just at the gate. The enemy is amongst us.
That is true.
Right? And so, and I'm going to say this,
because it's a shame when we were talking about education for over a week and some change, that it had little impact with the darn results of the.
But you're wrong. But you're wrong. It did have impact.
It had tons of impact. It had a lot of impact.
But you're wrong. But the problem is that continuity is very important in these discussions.
Right.
So every week, Eric and Rashawn, they're talking about education solutions.
All right. Well, then that was a bad word. It did have impact, but unfortunately, it didn't have the results that we wanted. That's what I meant to say.
The candidates didn't win, but the results, there were a lot of good things that came out of it. Make no mistake about it. But what I was gonna say is this, I gotta say.
Let me tell you the bad thing that came out of it. Though. See, this is what the bad thing that came out of it. That we have people that are in our schools, running our schools, managing our schools, that don't have the level of expertise to do that.
Exactly. That's the part that I'm saying. We really didn't get the results.
Well, no, but you know what did happen. But I'm gonna tell you what did happen. I'm gonna tell you what did happen. I heard that at the last board meeting, right, that the board president spent about 20 minutes complaining about the fact that folks are on the radio and online saying that he can't read beyond a 6th grade reading level. So now you got the board president understanding that people are coming to him saying, yo, man, can you really read? Are they joking? So we're doing something, Ian. And then when you have a leader in the community, Wilhelmina Holder, she, I was told, stood up at the meeting and challenged Reggie Bledsoe about not having his degree. So we are doing something.
No, that's not the issue. The issue is lying.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. She called him a liar.
He can go back to school. He can go back and take 12 more credits and get his degree. That's not the issue. But he lied about it.
Right.
That's the thing. See, don't get me wrong. Listen, guys. It's not that he did not have his degree. That's the issue.
You're right.
The issue is that he lied about it. So that means right there's a break in trust. No matter, and I like him. Don't get me, wait a minute. I keep telling I like this kid. And I am stunned that he has not said, I apologize.
Are you stunned?
Yes, I am.
I am too. I mean, and I told you in the very beginning.
Stunned.
I said, Reggie and I have shared a beer. We've hung out. We've talked. And so I don't dislike the guy, but we have to provoke accountability wherever it is. And so
I think, hey, Eric, I think that he's a part of our future. Listen, he's a part of our future, and guess what? If we can help him, we should help him.
I agree.
Right? But one thing we cannot do is stand up in front of the public and lie. And you know what I think the problem is? There's a culture of deceit by deception that's going on in this town that's so it is so insidious that I think everybody believes that that's the condition. That's how we should be acting, and that's not how we should be acting.
All right, but seriously, on another note, I really am going to try to. I'm going to talk to, my lodge to see if that space is available, because I do want to have this meeting coming up this Wednesday. I'm not playing this game. I'm really talking about it.
We'll post it on the page and let us know.
And the other thing is, what I want to bring attention to. One of the things, we have so many problems. One of the problems, when we're talking about where's the leadership, this, that, and the other, a lot of the stuff is watered down. When I say that, I mean, one, a lot of our strong leadership has been removed and or they chose to remove themselves once they left the community. That's one thing that has happened. The other thing that happened...
Ian, what I think is happening, Ian, let me tell you what I think is happening.
But
who wants to lead? No, Ian, who wants to lead? Now, this is Kevin talking.
Okay, Kevin.
Who wants to lead? Who wants to lead? No, I'm making a point. This is my point of view.
Gotcha.
Who wants to lead people, right, and take risk to lead a group of people that don't have ownership?
And
that's why you have people still on the sidelines. There's a lot of good people that want to lead.
That's one good question. The other good question is, who is willing to lead a group of people that potentially may end up leaving them standing out there in the cold on their own? For example,
okay.
For example,
okay, good.
No, that too, because because we do have people who do take a stance, like a Colin Kaepernick and others that take a stance, and then they feel like they've been left out in the cold on their own. And where are the people that's supposed to have, who are supposed to have my back? But But going back to the point, one of the problems.
If we stop buying Coca-Cola, if we stop, for instance, the football player you just mentioned, right? That guy was absolutely brilliant. I got what he did.
I got love for him, man.
Supported, but I got one better for you. If all of us say, you know what, whatever the bigger sponsor is of that stadium or that stadium he plays in, right? We're not going to support any of those products until that young man is playing football again.
Absolutely. Right? Stuff like that.
Well, that's the solution. But you know what's going to happen? What's going to happen, Eric, when we do that?
What's going to happen when we do what? Because I don't think we're going to do it.
I
can't even get to that point.
I'll answer that.
But I can't even get to
I'll answer that. What will happen if we did that? The same thing that happened in regards to when we took a stance on the buses. And a lot of people.
What are you talking about?
Then you and Eric keep on interrupting again because the bus drivers were like, the bus company told the bus drivers, look, hey, Billy Bob, we're gonna have to cut your hours down to 20 hours a week because we don't have the demand and we don't have the revenue anymore. Right, but Billy Bob was like, you know what?
Though. But people know
Some people think it was a social reason more than an economic reason that made that happen.
Do you really believe that? Wait a minute.
I really believe that economics played a major point.
I'm not saying that economics didn't play, but are you really saying that you don't believe that the people who know about the bus boycott, that they don't know that it was economics? You're really saying that our community, that primarily in our community, they didn't know it was economics?
I'm gonna say this. I don't want to assume that they do because a lot of us don't know what we should know. And hence the point of the radio show.
Talking about a child that was just born. I mean, anybody that knows any baseline of history about the Montgomery boycott. I mean, everybody knows what that was about. The economic impact really shifted their thought process.
Absolutely, and that should have been, and that should be the blueprint. That should be the blueprint. If we hit them in the pocket.
But I'm going again, and I'm saying to you, listen. I'm saying, see, and look, I don't dance around the issue.
Okay, let's not dance.
What I'm saying is this: right now, we have some Negroes who are in leadership, who have gotten their beaks wet, right? And so they're not interested in moving over at the table to allow other people to sit down, or moving away from the table so that other people can get to the table. And so those are some of the people, right, who are part of dismantling or keeping dismantled our community.
They're sellouts.
Right.
Listen, Eric, you have some people that, not the bureaucrats. I'm not talking about people that manage the city. I have a lot of respect for the managers of cities and, you know, the people that make cities run. I have high regard for them because you have to, but not the ones that we see now. The ones that are managing our cities now are ill-prepared. You know, they're political hacks. They shouldn't be there. But there was a group of people for 30 years, man, that were running these cities, and they were doing an exceptional job. They were the top professionals in government, you know, affairs, government operations, and we saw the benefit of that, right, in our city. But the issue for me at this present moment, you have people that have been elected, and that's all they have been. They have either worked in your schools. These people never worked in the private sector, never did anything outside of being in public office, right? Living off the dole. If you took them out of that environment and put them on the street and told them they had to create something or be innovative about something or create a product, they would never be able to do it. So you have a group of leaders now that all they know is government. I mean, I say government, being elected and being in office.
That's all they know.
Never beyond that.
And they're not aspiring to be beyond it. And unfortunately, they're training the next group of people to do exactly the same thing. They're not training them to, you know, to be real public servants and to look to have careers in the private sector. They're teaching them how, you know, they can collect 2 and 3 pensions, you know, how, you know, they can take advantage of the government dole. And that's what they're teaching.
All right, do me a favor. Call each one of those. Listen, do me a favor. Call every elected official you know. Let's take a poll and ask them what did they do outside of being elected. Now, wait a minute, though, now. You got to be careful now. I'm saying non-government. Anything that they've done non-government.
I agree.
You'll be surprised.
Well, and this is what I'm going to say as well. I mean, and why things are another reason why things are the way they are is because the reasons why people take these positions. People used to take a position, for example, people used to want to be a police officer for a certain reason. People used to want to be whatever for a certain reason, but now people are taking on jobs just as you mentioned, for the darn pensions or other reasons. They're not taking it.
No. I'm not talking about a police officer.
I understand it. I understand it. But in the same vein, a lot of our politicians and others are taking it for their personal reasons beyond the reason that the calling for the job. They're not doing it in the real spirit of whatever the job description requires. They're doing it for their own personal gain and personal.
Last year they said that she couldn't make another hit again. I said I don't write it, so I create new.
Sorry, and well, I'm glad y'all got a little taste of music, but they're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it for the titles versus the reasons for our community. Similarly, and I never got to finish the point. Similarly, just as for example, we can have 20 different Baptist churches within the black community. Now, I can understand a Baptist, a Methodist, a mosque. I can understand different having different places of worship that are separate because they have a whole total different philosophy. But see, but then I always question, why do you need 20 Baptist churches if they all have the same theology and philosophy? Whatever.
How did we get the churches from
the examples? In fact, the same thing. Our leadership is so diluted. So many people just want to be at the head of the pulpit rather than having one strong organization. I see that within my lodge. I love my lodge. There are 9 different subordinate lodges meeting at the same house, and we have 8 different worshipful masters up in there, and this, that, and the other. Rather than having one major lodge with one, everybody needs to have that title, and that's a problem. And everybody needs to be at the front of the pulpit. I'd rather sit in the back of the room of an organization that is about something, doing something, than stand in front of the room as the leader of an organization that is doing absolutely nothing.
Well, I don't know nothing about the church stuff, but all I can say to you is this: listen, we have a lot of people in our city, in all of these cities, that want to lead and want to give of themselves. And I believe being a public servant is an honorable job. I think it's a great job. I think what has happened now over the last 2 decades is that we've had people that have been around too long. I mean, literally around too long.
No, you're 100%.
I'm talking about literally. And, and they don't even have enough respect for the electorate to move on.
Well, wait a minute. So
they don't even have enough respect.
Al Montgomery asked a question on Facebook, and it's something that I've been saying, and I actually challenged Pat Bradford when she ran for the Board of Education, and I asked her this exact same question. This is what Al says. He says, name someone in Newark City Hall who's training someone to take over leadership.
Not happening.
Name one.
Not happening.
So there lies the problem. That's exactly what you're talking about,
that's
Kevin.
what we're talking about.
That's all self-serving. So
it's
not about building anything. It's about getting in and then getting what you can get.
We're not passing the baton.
Listen. But see, passing the baton, that's a very tricky analogy for me. But let me just say this stuff. Here's the issue. Right this moment, at this time in history, we have some of the worst elected officials leading our cities in the country. I'm talking about from the state to the federal to the local. And the local, everything impact. Local is the most important thing. Forget about the state and the federal, but the local is critical. If you close your eyes and you sit down and you talk to some of these people, you will be pleasantly surprised how ignorant they are, how dysfunctional they are. I mean, they have no sense of what it takes to run a city or run a ward. I mean, at all. And you know what they do? You know what the citizens do? Well, I like old buddy. Let me go vote for him. And then they'll be the first one to call you up next week talking about, well, why are my lights on my street are dark? Why do I have gang members hanging in front of my neighborhood? Why do I have so many shooters? Because you keep picking the wrong leaders.
Exactly.
And they're not addressing your issues.
And we do that locally, and we do that nationally. A lot of people who voted for Trump voted for him because, I like how he does this, that, and the other. A lot of people who were going to vote for Hillary for the same darn reason.
They voted for Trump. They voted for Trump because they wanted to make America great again by putting you back on that plan.
But that's definitely, most definitely one of the reasons. But people were looking to vote.
He gonna put you on that plantation.
But people were voting for Hillary for the same darn reason, and neither one of them would have tried to do anything or as much as, say, for example, Bernie Sanders was trying to do for all the communities. So, but
you're talking about, you know what? I'm so sick of you. You're talking about. Listen
I'm talking about locally and nationally. I'm talking about decisions that we make. I can easily defend why. For example, I can easily defend that. I can easily defend it. And we have another election coming up. This darn gubernatorial election. There's quite a few candidates out there, and there's some leading the polls. And once again, we have those leading the polls that I don't think have the best interest for our darn state. There's a gentleman, I think I tagged him. I can't even remember his name. He's not really one of the more popular gubernatorial candidates, but he's talking that talk and walking that walk. He's really saying a lot of real stuff. But he's not on the top of the polls for a lot of the people. He's not.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you a question. But let me ask you a question.
He's not.
So wait a minute. But I'm going to ask you.
We're looking at the guy for Goldman Sachs,
right?
Or we're looking at.
Right. But does it really matter for the black community? I mean, look. At the end of the day,
sure
right?
Does.
No. Well, no. But the primary is June 6th, right? So that's a little over a week. Is the black community at the table? Are we at the table?
We should be at the table.
No, I know where we should be. I'm saying, are we? So you can really talk about all of these gubernatorial candidates.
Well, Eric, you know what, Eric? We're going to see. You're absolutely right. We are going to see immediately. We are going to see. What your question is very important, Eric, and we should not run away from that. We are going to see. We're going to see. By November, we are going to see. After the primary, we're going to see who's at that table.
Oh, right. We're going to. No, I agree with you 100%. Not even until November. Right. In terms of Democrat, right after June 6th, we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see whether or not black folk, right? Because the understanding that I get is that when I listen to all of the Democrat candidates talk, they say very openly and explicitly they can't win without the African American vote. Then we know that. Then they double down and say they can't win without the black female vote. So now,
and we know that.
Right. So my question is, what is the slice of pie for the African American community, and then what's the slice of pie for the black women in New Jersey?
Well, and that's my thing about that. I had the same conversation with a friend of mine last night who was talking about her current job.
But I'm saying, even from the one that you sent me the link to, the one that's less known.
Right.
What's the agenda for the black community, and what's the agenda?
Well, he's less known now because y'all can't remember his name. You're worse than I am.
Well,
what's his name?
But just like I had a conversation. Well, I'll get to his name. But just like I had a conversation with a friend last night, she is currently in a position of power to demand more from her boss and supervisor. And I told her to make sure that she does that. And the problem with us is that we are in a position of power. We aren't as well in a position of power, and the fact that they acknowledge that to us, that they tell us we can't win without you, and we still don't come with a list of demands of what we want, is insane. It's an insane approach that we continually do. We should be asking for nothing, Chris. We should be demanding something because they can't make no pie. We don't need to ask for a slice of pie when we have the ingredients that they need to make the pie.
Right. But we're gonna get back to where I was before. So you talking about Bill Brennan?
Bill Brennan.
He's talking about Bill Brennan.
He's one of the people.
He's talking about Bill Brennan.
Yeah.
Bill Brennan is one of the. Bill Brennan. There's a few other people, but yeah, Bill Brennan is one of them who's talking the talk. And just like a lot of other folks and a lot of other things, their voice is not being heard. The popular one, the moneyed voices are being heard, and everything else. That's what's being heard, and we don't even know about these other people. Bill Brennan's probably he's probably.
Wait a minute. Why don't we wait a minute? Stop, 1 second. Know about him, Ian?
Same reason why it took us forever to know and learn about. I mean, it took us a year to even hear about Bernie Sanders. It took us a long time to hear that because the powers that be in the money and the money machine are pushing candidates who are going to support their agenda.
Now, wait a minute. Stop 1 second. See, because I'm going to put this on the people. We know that there's a gubernatorial race. We can go and find out who the candidates are. Everybody who has a smartphone can do just what I did, right? I Google New Jersey Democratic gubernatorial candidates, and now you can see who all of the candidates are, and now you can go and do some research. But what you're saying, Ian, is that we should follow the old paradigm and wait for them to come to us. And so if Brennan doesn't have enough money, or if Johnson doesn't have enough money to put enough ads on, then we blame Phil Murphy because he had too much money. I'm saying that no, we have a responsibility the same way with the people who are running for president. People had a responsibility to find out who all the candidates were. And they had a responsibility to go and ferret out all the information themselves, whether that man had a dime or not. But see, we sit back and we don't do the work. We wait for somebody else to put commercials on the television, to send us mailers and robocalls, right? And then they do all of that, and I guarantee you, you walk through New Jersey right now with all the money that's been spent by Murphy, and there's still people who will tell you that they don't know that there's a gubernatorial race.
No, I understand, but I'm not saying that. I'm saying that what we need to do, we need to get out here actually and be, of course, and be proactive, which was the whole premise of this entire conversation that we had in the many different topics that we spoke about. The whole thing is being proactive and being accountable and getting up and doing. We have to start walking the walk, and we, unfortunately, a lot of our stronger leaders have either, like I said, been removed or chose to remove themselves. But the ones that are still here, who are strong, we need to have the courage, which a lot of us lack. There are a lot of strong leaders, but some of them lack the courage to get out front and open their mouth and do something, say something. We're just a bunch of
Why do they lack the courage? You know why? Because this is my opinion.
Okay.
So this is Eric speaking. Right? So my opinion is they lack the courage because the electorate is so uninformed that they don't believe that they'll have the support. And most politicians, from the day that they're elected, the thing that they're doing is running for re-election. So if they look and they're making a decision that they don't believe the electorate is going to be in support of, then they lack the, like you were talking before, Kevin, when you were on the show, talking about political will. Right? That sometimes you have to just do what's right, and you have to believe that, you know, what's right is what's better than what people want to hear. And we have spineless elected officials.
Yeah, and you know what? And actually, you know, this whole thing, you know, excuses are the tools of the incompetent. We need to get a T-shirt and say that, because every time an elected official opens up their mouth, you know, to me, they're just making excuses. I'm like, wait a minute. These things can be remedied, right? I mean, we can do something to fix those things, correct?
Yep. Right. And Chris Hill on my thread pointed out. He says that was an oversimplification. He says people have to be available to meet with elected officials. People can't miss work.
Oh, stop it, Chris.
Lose money to support their families.
Stop the excuses, Chris.
Are those excuses?
That's an excuse. It's an excuse. So you mean to tell me, so the gubernatorial race, Phil Murphy announced when, Kevin? How long ago?
Almost a year.
A year ago, whatever, 2 years, right? So in 2 years, you haven't found a single minute to be able to go and figure this out. I'm saying, you understand what I'm saying? Stop it. At some point, and we have to, and you know, we have to stop even entertaining stuff like that, Ian. We have to literally
I'm reading the thread.
No, I understand you're reading it.
I think our community is watching too much reality TV.
Oh, that's crazy. Oh, that people can't do. Stop.
But why is it not? Why is it not part of the truth? Because I know
2 years.
I know a lot of people.
They go to the movies, right?
I know a lot.
They go to the movies. They go out to dinner.
A lot of people that haven't taken a vacation in 5 years.
No, but they go to the movies.
Ian, can I ask you a question, Ian?
Yes, you can.
And I have to do this. I have to put my book out. I told Eric I had to put my book list. How many people? I'm curious to know how many books a month do our community read? Like, people are reading. Are people really reading? You know what I'm saying, Eric? I mean, I'm really.
No, I agree with you.
I believe people aren't even reading.
I don't think they're reading either.
Well, because I think the patience in doing that has been removed with the whole instant information age. People
social media, you can read online.
No, people just want to click and get an answer. And a lot of people don't even. A lot of people don't even want to read. A lot of people, for example, I can put a headline about today's headline: Ian, Eric, and Kevin get into a heated argument, and that's the headline. But nobody goes and continues to read the rest of the article and know, yeah, they were talking about this topic, that topic, blah blah blah, and in the end, some that they agreed upon, some that they disagreed, and they still were all in consensus the fact that we need to stand up and do something and be involved with our darn community. People are not going to read. People are not going to read the rest of that story. People, they may just stop at the headlines, if that much.
That's true. But Eric, one thing I'll give you credit for, I mean, all of you guys, you put stuff on your on your post that's relevant to what we're talking about every day, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I mean, and I did. I had this dream. And I woke up again to the nightmare. I mean, I slept good, thinking that dream was really reality, and it wasn't. And I'm sick and tired of. I don't want to wake up to a nightmare. I want to wake up.
What's the dream that you had? I didn't get that.
Oh, you missed that part.
We got 40 seconds.
We got 40 seconds.
Give them a dream.
All right, guys.
Look, I'm not. It's not. I'm gonna let you tune into the beginning of the show.
All right, okay.
But see, no. The only reason why I'm saying that because what we're not going to do is what we did yesterday.
I got you.
We ended up the time got to us. We couldn't even properly sign off. So I don't want to do that to the listeners today.
Okay.
So,
well, guys, I'm glad I didn't give you my cold, and I'm glad I have fun. I love these wrap-up Fridays. I love their fun.
Thank you.
They're really good.
We have 30
Listen,
seconds.
man, have a great holiday weekend, man, and feel better.
Everybody.
Okay, guys.
This is Eric.
And good. This is Ian, and this is what I'm going to say to y'all. Be well. Have fun with the families. Come back on vacation. And let's get back into grind mode. Let's get in grind mode in our communities. Let's get in grind mode out here.
This is
Let's
Eric.
do what we got to do. And this is Ian.
And Kevin.
And Kevin.
Gone, but we're all out.
We're out.
This has been the Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Thanks for trusting me.
It's not just about
Thanks for trusting me. This shit was fire.
It's about understanding what's really going on.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock a.m.
Just continuing to talk about.
May I be the first to say
Blast Radio.
It's 12
94.3. Renegade. Dance hall.
So y'all.
Soca.
So
Hip hop and R&B.
The post show
African
portion. Hope y'all
disco.
enjoy it. I mean, but